a fan of Arsenal, but Victor, I'm not so sure whether I'm not really a fan of football in as much as, you know.
Football is concerned. We're still in the race.
I did get to follow that. Is Arsenal losing?
Yeah. Well, we're still in the race. Matches we have. Man City is ahead of us just by 1 point.
Really?
Yes, they are at 76, Arsenal is at 75, but we still have got a couple of games to go. So the race is still on, and Mikel Arteta said very well that this is the nicest point of his season for Arsenal to win the league. So it's not yet over. I mean, anything can happen. If we lost actually we drew 3 matches in a row. That really gave us a serious beating. I don't know which team Mheshimiwa Ruku supports here. Mheshimiwa, welcome. We are talking football here.
Thank you so much.
You support Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City?
Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of football.
Come on. Okay.
I normally see people enjoying matches.
Yes.
I rarely do. I only watch World Cup at the finals.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a fan, but my boys are very good fans of football.
Okay. So you're a fan by association then?
Yeah. One of them is a very good footballer.
Yeah.
Patrick Dogo. He has participated within the region, and his aspiration is to be a footballer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the house I have.
So you and Marie, you're not football fans. All right.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mheshimiwa is not because there are times when you watch football, I know. Like for me, World Cup is, you know, Africa Cup of Nations.
World event.
But those are the ones, those are small ones, you know, so we don't really.
No.
Yeah, I watch World Cup only.
Okay, so we're waiting for another
and
round.
Especially when we have many African
teams playing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
So
Marie,
thank you so much, Victor. And to our viewers, well, it's time for me to sign off for now. Victor will be taking you through people and politics this morning. Mheshimiwa is already in the studio. So thank you so much. We'll be following up for you news on the Azimio protest. We also have the Shakahola story still developing. So we'll be bringing you details of that in our subsequent bulletins. So thank you so much for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Maria Mboho. To see you again tomorrow, God willing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maria, for that. Now let's take a look at what we have on our front pages. And of course, just to let you know that we have Mheshimiwa Ruku already in studio, and we also expect Deputy Governor of Siaya County, that is CPA William Odol, who will be joining us shortly in studio. But right about now, let me take you through the front page of our local dailies. Let me start with the Standard here. Workers go home empty-handed amid protest talk. Workers go home empty-handed amid protest talk. Employees expected the government to focus on the high cost of living and probably get a pay rise. But speaker after speaker took their time to rail at the opposition over planned demonstrations today. That happened yesterday during the Labor Day celebrations. How Githunguri is guarding his billions in debt. That is former Member of Parliament Stanley Githunguri, and lots of family issues there. According to Murathe, still on the front page, cost of living likely to sink Ruto government. That is according to Murathe, cost of living likely to sink Ruto government. Chaos at Sudan port as locals flee. That is still happening in Sudan. And talk of my big team. Will Arsenal sing blues at the Emirates? That will be happening tonight. What a decider. All right, inside Mackenzie's doomsday teachings, something that has been dotting our headlines for the last couple of weeks now. Using the Bible, pastor made claims that border on hearsay, but his congregation grew, and that started years ago, and now the police and the entire government is concerned about his teaching and the issue therein. Okay. When we talk about what the president said, Ruto wants against demos, Raila wants vows to push on with protests. That is what is happening today. The president said that the opposition should give dialogue a chance. Raila accused Ruto of attempting to undermine the constitution by trying to prevent planned peaceful protest. Mheshimiwa Ruku, let me just bring you in at this particular point. Let's talk about what's here on the standard. Ruto warns against demos, and Raila vows to push on with the protesters. But the question is, who is now on the right side? The other day, President said that he'll not bow down to pressure. He's extended that olive branch to Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, and here now we have got protests resuming today. Your take?
Raila Odinga is a man who has thrived on chaos all through his political career. And I think it is the high time we deal with the radical type of politics in this country once and for all. I am sure now, it is now or never, that we have to change the regime of politics of Raila Odinga in this country, because he has been chaotic. One day of demonstration costs this country a lot of income which can go to improving our infrastructure, improving our schools, improving our hospitals. The election of 2022 was peaceful, and the power was handed over at Kasarani in a very peaceful manner, witnessed by different presidents across the group and different high commissions and ambassadors from different countries across the world. The reasons why Raila is coming back several months after general elections, claiming that he won, is just to try and thrive, just to try and see whether he can twist the government to be part of the government. Article 1 of the Constitution clearly states how the country should be governed, where the sovereignty of the people of Kenya rise, and it rise on the democratically elected representatives.
Yes.
And these representatives are in the counties, in the county assemblies. Sorry.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
Okay, let me just take it that we'll get you a glass of water as we continue with that. All right, that happens. All right, that happens a lot. Okay, you'll continue with that. Just also let you know that we expect the Principal Secretary for Correctional Services, that is Mbeere Muthoni Muriuki, to give a press conference, a press briefing at office at Teleposta Towers late this morning. Once we get that link, we'll bring it live to you here on KBC Channel 1. All right.
I think now I'm okay.
Okay, very good.
Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
No, that's called occupational hazard.
I apologize for that. I think I was saying the Article 1 of the Constitution clearly that the sovereignty of the people of Kenya is exercised through the elected representative in a democratic manner. This happened in August 2022. And Raila is not one of them.
Yes.
And therefore he can only exercise the sovereignty or whatever you want to be done through the elected representatives. And that's why the President of Kenya, William Ruto, suggested that we have a discourse in Parliament. And Raila accepted because he recognizes that clause of the Constitution.
Yeah.
So why is coming back to say that he wants to go back to demonstrations? You can't choose the prayers. You've just talked about football now. You can't choose the prayers of the other team. Therefore, Kenya Kwanza coalition forwarded the prayers for negotiations.
Okay.
Raila Odinga's meal forwarded the prayers for negotiations. What has happened after that?
That is the question, because Raila says that perhaps the whole issue has been watered down by politicians. The request and the prayers from Azimio are not yet taken care of, and that is why, according to Raila Odinga, the talks will continue. Yes, the bipartisan talks will continue. On the other side, the protest will also go on. But the question is, who is now speaking the truth? Because you don't know the real details of really what happened. Somebody would argue that the other side according to Raila Odinga and his team, that they were taken for a ride and somebody was trying to buy time.
When we say that Raila has been playing conmanship politics all through, not only this time but also in the past, it's the truth, it's the real thing. Raila has been, playing that type of politics which we call conmanship, and with the aim of more or less extorting money from the government and extorting positions,
which we cannot authenticate. Which we cannot authenticate.
It is true, but I can tell you, because you have said that you don't know where the truth lies. We are in the street of politics every single day.
Yes.
And I can assure you, Raila Odinga was given money by Uhuru Kenyatta.
Which you huge amount of money. Authenticate.
As well as the other time,
yes,
during Kibaki government, the same happened. What Kenya Kwanza and what William Ruto have said is that this has to come to an end. Once you rush fairly and squarely and in a fair manner, please go and wait for the next general election. Go and put your house in order so that you can be able to win the next general elections.
Okay, all right.
I'm telling you, if Raila Odinga was to be at the moment going around the country trying to pinpoint the flaws or the weaknesses of Kenya Kwanza government, probably he would win in the next general election. But the style which is using at the moment, it is clearly demonstrate that to those who did not vote him, they were extremely right. And in 2027, more will not vote him.
But allow me to play the devil's advocate. Kenya Kwanza cannot decide for what Azimio should be doing, not Raila Odinga, but Azimio Brigade, what kind of politics and how they should be playing it. They are playing it as opposition, and that is their style, as well as government playing their role as government.
Azimio, or the leaders in Azimio, these are the kind of leaders who believe in themselves, that they are in this position for themselves, for their families, not for the sake of Kenyans.
Why I can demonstrate it on the other side?
I can demonstrate it.
Yes.
They are in position of power. When nominations come to Parliament, nominating members of Parliament in East Africa Legislative Assembly, Raila Odinga nominates the daughter, Kalonzo Musyoka nominates the son. Does it mean there are no other capable Kenyans who can take...
Where's the problem with that?
Of course there's a problem, because once you are in a position of privilege of leadership, you should hold hand of other people, other talented Kenyans, to be in a space where they can express their talent, where they can express their capacity, in terms of leadership. Also, they can grow. They can grow, and their strength can be manifested within the boundaries of this country or within different platforms, so that they can be of use in this country and in this world.
All right.
Why is it that Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, they only look inward to themselves?
Let me take you through another page. We still have got more time. Mheshimiwa, thank you for staying with us. Why workers failed to get any pay hike during Labor Day celebration? Businesses argued that any wage increment would add to the many challenges firms are facing and hinder job creation. Employees had hoped not just for a minimum wage increase, but general increase that would cover all that. Okay. The issue of minimum wage still taking center stage during Labor Day. But before we continue, Mheshimiwa, let's cross over and listen to what the Principal Secretary for Correctional Services, Mbeere Muthoni, is saying at this particular hour. Let's cross over. And welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Okay. Before we took a break, there was that press briefing by PS Correctional Facilities, Mbeere Muthoni, and of course we'll get you more details in our subsequent bulletins later on in the day, lunchtime news, and as well as 7 and 9 p.m. bulletins. So stay with us. All right. In studio, I still have Geoffrey Ruku, who is the Member of Parliament of Mbeere North Constituency. Mheshimiwa, let's talk about the issue of wage bill, which is very important. Why workers fail to get any pay hike during Labor Day? Remember, former President Uhuru Kenyatta alluded to the fact that there should be some sort of a wage bill way back last year, but that never happened. Yesterday, A majority of Kenyans really expected to get some, some good news from the government, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, because our country is experiencing a debt crisis, where the previous regime went in a spree of borrowing many different types of loans, from Eurobond to loans from China government and other government across the world, and loans from World Bank and IMF, as well as other multilateral financial institutions. And these are very expensive loans, which are attracting about 15% interest, and 15% interest of billions of dollars is huge amount of money. And the problem is that majority of these loans are maturing almost at the same time. So we, as a nation, we are in a debt crisis, where all the income which we are getting from different sources, from taxes, from our tourism sector, and other income, most of it is going to payment of debts. We are not able to finance our recurrent expenditure as well as our development projects as a nation. And it has happened in the past whereby the country or the nation, the government is not able to finance the recurrent expenditure, then it goes to borrowing. We can't borrow to pay our day-to-day expenditure. We can only borrow to implement developmental projects which have an impact to the economy. And that is the policy or the stand which the president and the government has taken, that we are not going to borrow money so that we can finance our recurrent expenditure. So the recurrent expenditure is going to be financed from our own internal sources, and those internal sources are the ones which are completely constrained by these debts. So that's why the government is not able to give any increment in salary. And I think it's a fair thing for the Kenyans to understand that we are in a difficult situation economically or financially as a nation, but it's just for a short while, and we'll be able to come out of this hole.
All right. Let me take you through the front page of the People Daily newspaper. Here, protest on, warns Raila. Protests on, warns Raila. No, they aren't, says the police. No, they aren't, say police. With a fresh round of demos set to begin today, Azimio bosses say that they do not need permit to present petitions. But President Ruto and security agencies vow to stop them. That is what's on the front page of the People Daily. Why cost of land in Nairobi has jumped to record high. For people who are aspiring to be landowners in Nairobi, this is a story for you. 58th Labor Day celebrations. Kenyans signed to jobs deals with 20 countries. Ruto pledges, of course, that happened yesterday during the Labor Day celebration, which was attended by President William Ruto and Kotu Sekjen Francis Atwoli. Kenya pursues deal to export labor overseas. President William Ruto says that he has lobbied with foreign nations to get opportunities for Kenyans. This happens. The president said that he recently lobbied for opportunities for Kenyans working in Germany, and the agreement to this effect will soon be signed. And he said, let me quote, that many countries are saying that they want Kenyan workers. I was in Germany, and the chancellor will be in the country on Thursday. During that meeting, we agreed that we will sign a bilateral labor agreement so that Kenyans can get opportunities, because they have told us they require 250 million workers annually. Now, this perhaps should be some good news for Kenyans. When we have the chancellor here on Thursday, I think that should be something to talk about. Workers to pay 2.7% to NHIF in Ruto's proposal. Proposed changes will see those employed by varying rates depending on individual income. Moving on, mass protests. Ruto and Raila play hardball. Azimio and the government have dug in their heels, setting stage for confrontation between protesters and police. Yesterday, Raila said that the issue of nobody should have weapons and the police should not stop them. But let me just ask you this question, Mheshimiwa. Where should the rights meet? Because the protesters have a right, the government have a right. Where do these rights meet? Because everybody is pulling on their side.
The Constitution of Kenya has different articles, and these articles are given, they come to effect through Act of Parliament and through different regulations which are passed in Parliament. This morning, after the show, I'm forwarding a bill, maandamano bill, to the Speaker of the National Assembly. A bill which, if enacted by Parliament, it will regulate how maandamano and demonstrations will be carried in this country to give an effect to Article 37 of the Constitution. Because this is the article where the Azimio are trying to hide behind saying that the Constitution is clear in terms of the right of picketing, demonstration, and things like that. But the same article says clearly that you should go to a demonstration completely unarmed, and you should not prevent the right of other people to do their business or to carry their day-to-day activities, to block traffic and issues like that. So the proposed maandamano bill will give the right of members of public to enjoy the natural environment and also give the right of person to carry on business. So if you will be organizing demonstration in this country, demonstrations which are preventing the other person to carry out their day-to-day activities in the normal way, just like other days, then those demonstrations will be illegal and the law will have sanctions on you.
So that is a proposal to...
This is a proposal which I am making. I'm calling it Maandamano Bill 2023, which I'm forwarding to Parliament this morning. And we'll take through the process of lawmaking in the House. And if it passes all the stages of lawmaking in Parliament, and the President sign it, it becomes law. And therefore, we will change the terrain, whatever is happening at the moment.
It's quite interesting, Mheshimiwa, that we are talking about maandamano and you're proposing a bill to curtail or to streamline or to clip.
It's not to clip, it's to give effect.
So what is
Article 37 of the...
So what is the details, what are some of the details of that bill that you're proposing?
It's quite elaborate.
Okay.
It has about 20 sections.
Pointers?
Okay. One, which is very, very important. If you look at section 19, the proposed section 19 of this
because it's interesting that
it is whereby
the
section of powers of police.
Okay.
At the moment, the police are curtailed by Article 37 because Article 37 has not been given, the effect has not been properly interpreted through an act of Parliament. We have to give the police powers to use their arms when they analyze the situation and think this guy is going beyond the limits of the other person, the rights of the other person. In United States of America, there's a law called Stand My Ground, Stand Your Ground. And if you go beyond, if you trespass to someone's property, to someone's business, that person has the right to shoot you and kill you. So what you're proposing in this maandamano bill is that the police have the right to assess the situation and use force, use their tools of trade, which is firearm.
That is far-fetched.
What is
necessary. That is far-fetched.
No.
That is far-fetched, Mheshimiwa, because the Constitution also provides for a local mwananchi.
You cannot organize
picketing and demonstrations.
You cannot organize demonstrations which are going to go in the streets of Nairobi and start stoning, destroying shops of people who are doing their businesses in a peaceful manner. That kind of person is not a demonstrator. That kind of person is not the person who is envisaged by Article 37 of our Constitution. The owner or the police have the right to restrain that person.
But not to kill.
By using force. And it is upon the police to determine the extent to which they can use force. So if you have someone who wants to ban your business, if you have someone who wants to ban your vehicle, because they have failed to organize demonstration in a peaceful manner, then the police have the right to see what kind of force I'm supposed to use.
Okay.
And sincerely speaking, someone who is banning a vehicle, the police need to shoot down such kind of a person.
All right. That is part of the proposal.
We have to streamline the way of we conduct ourselves in this country.
All right.
We have to deal with Odinga type of politics once and for all.
Okay. We're waiting to see whether that proposal, how that proposal will go on the floor of the House. I mean, okay, talk of heavy rains. Heavy rains leave scores of Kisumu residents homeless. This has been happening all the years during rainy season. Households were forced to spend the night in the cold after River Nyando burst its banks following a heavy downpour, flooding homes and those that are affected. Of course, audit falls, flood response strategies. And of course, they said that the special audit covers 5 years from July 2017 to June 2022 and focused on the flood-prone catchment areas spread across 6 counties. That happened, and again, residents of Kiamunyi Estate in Nakuru County actually woke up to some, gaping hole in that particular region, and of course that has also rendered part of the road that is Maimahiu-Narok route not passable at this particular point. And finally, curtains come down on schools' drama festival and film festival. Surprises at 61st annual schools and colleges festival, creative festival, despite President's wide berth. And of course, it was after 2 years after the corona pandemic that ravaged the country, and now schools came out and showcased their festival. Next year's will be in Mbeere County. There you have it. And let me take you through the front page of the Star newspaper. Defiant Azimio dares Ruto as cops ban demos. Defiant Azimio dares Ruto as cops ban demo. Raila says that protest to start at 6 a.m. Intends to present 4 petitions. Tough-talking president vows to protect property. And that is exactly what you're saying there in that proposal, Mheshimiwa, that the proposal is meant to protect property. Yes. But either way, the kind of protest that we should naturally should be peaceful. And at some point during past demonstrations, the other side of Azimio said that it was largely peaceful until they had a confrontation with the police somewhere in Embakasi or Eastlands, when the police lobbed tear gas and members of the media were also faced that kind of attack. And now everybody is pulling on their side. At this particular point, Mheshimiwa, when demonstrations are peaceful, let's just take a clear scenario that they start moving all the way from whichever direction they'll take. And police work is just to protect, to give them security, and what have you.
Yes.
Where's the problem with that?
There's no problem whatsoever with that, but what we have seen in the past is that demonstrations in this country are always not peaceful. They are chaotic. There is serious element of violence in the demonstrations. I can give you an example of peaceful demonstration. I'm a Catholic, and we always have processions during our Easter. And that procession is normally very peaceful. There is even marshals to direct traffic as we do our demonstration, or as we walk along the streets doing our prayers. Those are the kind of demonstration which we are talking about.
We're talking about two sets of demonstration. These are different sets of demonstration. Political demonstration and Catholic. And
demonstrations across the world, in the developed nations, people even do demonstration by deciding maybe to
anger strike,
to be on the traffic and to oot for about 30 minutes. It's demonstration. To whistle, maybe to hang on, to burn themselves on trees. Those are kind of peaceful demonstrations we are talking about. But in this country, we have seen demonstrations which are very violent, which have element of destroying property. And that's why we are saying we have to put a law which gives effect to Article 37 of our Constitution, so that we can give the powers to the police, because police are the ones who are given powers to protect lives and property of Kenyans. So we need to give that Article 37 into effect. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Article 19, section D, that it says if any participant or any person either obstruct or interferes with the participant in assembly or demonstration, kills or seriously injures or attempts to kill or to seriously injure or show manifest intentions of killing or seriously injuring any other person, or destroy or does serious damage to and attempt to destroy or to do serious damage or to show manifest of intention of destroying or doing serious damage to any variable, immovable or movable property, police have a right to take actions to that particular person.
What kind of action are you proposing in this situation?
And this situation I'm proposing that the police may take necessary steps to prevent the action contemplated in paragraph 1 and 2, and may, if it finds other method to be ineffective or inappropriate, use force, including the use of firearm and other weapons.
Which is still provided for by the police. Police are allowed to use live bullets, or rubber bullets rather, to stop such kind of demonstrations and to protect property. That is what is provided for. But are you trying to allude to the fact that if a protester is destroying property, burning down vehicles, then police should use an alternative force?
Yes.
Which is?
It is the police. We are giving police a room to interpret and see the kind of force they should be able to use, which includes the firearm or even other weapons which may be provided for by the National Police Service.
It's obvious. Just firearm, rubber bullets, or arrest that person and present that person to court of law. But your proposal, maybe with some hidden, I don't know how the police will interpret it, but let me leave it at that.
We have to prevent destruction of property and loss of life. Already for the demonstrations which we have seen, I think 2 have lost their lives.
Yeah.
Millions of property, property worth of millions of shillings have been destroyed. We saw what happened in Kisumu. An entire supermarket was brought down. And not only in Kisumu, also in this city. We cannot continue like that. We want to build this economy. We want to build this Kenya.
Okay.
It is only us who can build this nation. Other countries we call developed nations. It is the citizens of those countries who made those countries to be the way they were. There is time they were extremely poor. We are poor at the moment. But in another 20 years, this country can change. And it's only the leadership which can be able to change this country. William Ruto is at the top. We know he has the intention to change this country.
Very well.
He has 10 years.
Yes.
We have to support him with the necessary laws which can help him in changing the rise of the economy.
Election cycle is always 5 years.
Yes.
So you've talked about 10 years. Kenyans will decide after 5 years.
Yes.
All right, that is your political statement. But nonetheless, what is you've talked about 20 years from now.
Yes.
What are you trying to foresee with this kind of proposal? Do you remember when Deputy President, then when he was at Bomas of Kenya, and he made a statement that right now it might be okay because the shoe is on this side. But how will it feel when the shoe is on the other side? The question I'm trying to ask you, when you bring up this kind of proposal and you take it to Parliament, let's just say it passes and sees the light of the day. 10, 15, 20 years down the road, the other side will be on this end because nothing is permanent, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
Will you also go back and say that this kind of law is punitive? Will you retract it?
No, what we are saying, look at a country which is just our neighbor, Rwanda. The kind of economic transformation which is happening in that country. Look at what happened with the Asian tigers. The countries which we were at par, which we could lend money in 1963, 1964, in 1965. These are countries which are way ahead economically and financially of this nation. Why? Because of the type of leadership which these countries have. It is true, Kenya is a democratic nation. But this democracy has to be within the limits. Our rights, your right stops or ends at the point it interferes with my rights.
Absolutely.
So we have to put laws which put in effect or which ensures it's not all through about your right, it's also about my right. Because we are a democratic nation. Wake up and say from today, this will not be happening. It is the law which can only say that this will not be happening, that your right will stop and end at the point where it interferes with the other person. And we have the right of the other person. We have to put very strong laws. And this is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So that this nation can be able to have a breathing space for economic and financial transformation. We don't need to have our children in the same financial or economic situation which we are at.
Okay.
Our children need to enjoy different status in another 20, 25 years. I don't want to talk about that years from now. That years is way ahead. We need, within 20 years, this country to be transformed in terms of infrastructure, education system, security systems which we have, the health sector, and the agriculture sector.
Absolutely. Let's go through.
And we can't be interfering every single political cycle. We have madamanos. We have to take care of them in law.
All right. Let's go through the front page of the Daily Nation, Mheshimiwa. Thank you. Ruto's new salary plan for workers. Ruto's salary plan, new salary plan for workers. The president said that he announced a new salaries policy that will set equal pay for workers in public and private sectors, even as he defended extra pension and medical deductions that have shrunk workers' pay slips. Protest rivals dig in amid calls for restraint. That is, President William Ruto and Azimio Chief Raila Odinga have maintained the headlined positions over today's planned opposition protests, even as calls for restraint dominated Labour Day celebrations yesterday. Okay, and policy before cabinet and will be taken to parliament soon, says President. That is as far as the new salary plan for workers is concerned. Very quickly, sweet victory for festival winners. That is also captured on the People Daily. Of course, the Drama and Film Festival was hosted at Shimo Latewa School in the coast. And that, the curtain came down over the weekend. All right. Public-private sector workers to get same pay in policy shift. That is another policy that the president is taking a keen look at. Low-key event as biting cold spoils mood over the 40,000 capacity venue. Only held about 2,000 people, half of who sat in the open field to bask in the sun's weak rays. Okay, for much more, you can take a look at your favorite newspaper and read for more. Okay, Mheshimiwa, we have got 2 minutes to go. Let me ask you this question. You are coming up with a very good proposal, but one thing that is now gripping the country is the issue of Shakahola. The entire nation is looking at that part of the country. A majority of Kenyans never heard of that word before, Shakahola.
Yes.
But right now, it's in the head, the minds, and the brains of Kenyans. As Parliament, what do you think Parliament should do? Because we have got many churches coming up left, right, and center. And when you hear this story, it gives a grim picture on a society where some laws must also be put in place. Much as you also have that proposal, don't you think that Parliament should also come up with a proposal to streamline the upsurge of churches?
Yes.
You are a strong Catholic.
Yes, absolutely. It is true that we need to regulate the space of the church as quickly as possible, because even in the Bible it says there will always be false prophets, prophets of doom, and we have so many scammers at the moment in the names of the church. That's why you'll find that there is one church here with a very big name. Then there's immediately after 20 meters, there is another one with another very huge name. And people who don't understand the standard of God, and the standard of God, I mean theology. People who have not studied theology, people who have not studied philosophy, and they have all manner of excuse. I mean, they excuse themselves. They say it's not a must. You go to school. The Spirit can come in you and you're able to interpret Bible properly. I think true, we need to regulate that space. But I don't know whether we have courageous politicians or members of Parliament who will take that bill to Parliament to regulate that space. Because at the end of the day, we are in Parliament through the votes. And you may have so many churches in your constituency, and probably you may not want to be the one who is trying to stifle some of those churches in your constituency. So I think
it's quite interesting, Mheshimiwa, because when you look at the concerns, from the autopsy which was carried yesterday, but I mean the government was there. I mean CS Kithure Kindiki was there, and Chief Government Pathologist was also there. And from part of the results, some of the victims of the cult operating in Kilifi Shakahola village were killed by suffocation and strangulation. Well, you listen to such kind of things, and then, as a member of Parliament, as an elected leader, you say you cannot stand and say we condemn such kind of churches, strangulation and suffocation, and most of them were kids. Some people have also, sold their household goods.
It is very painful. Because the ones who went through this horror children, they're the ones who, according to this teaching of Mackenzie, the children start, then they are followed by the parent. And you see some of those graves, it's our whole family buried together. There is no way you can bury the family together as if they died at the same time. They can't die at the same time. Death cannot occur for one family. There's no such coincidence. There's no such probability. Even if you are not eating, you have different genetic makeup, you have different strength. One will die today, the other one will die, I don't know, after 3 days, I don't know. But you cannot die at the same time so that you'll be buried at the same time. So it is true. People are killed, children were killed. The full force of law should be applied to the guys who are perpetrating this heinous crime. But having said that, we need to surely regulate the space, the church, as quickly as possible. And I think the state law has all the instruments necessary to forward a regulation to Parliament, so that it can be considered at a very high speed, and it becomes law. As I've said, I'm not sure whether we have a member of Parliament who will fund in his name a bill or a law or an amendment of an act to ensure that the churches are clearly regulated. You need to do a lot of soul searching. You need to really audit your political environment properly, so that you carry such a move. But the state law, the government as a ministry which can forward a regulation, an amendment, an act of parliament, an amendment to act of parliament, or a fresh bill to ensure we regulate churches in Kenya.
All right. Mheshimiwa, thank you. I think that is the best way to stop this at this particular point.
Thank you.
Okay. The issue of Shakahola, of course, the CS said that the probe will include human organ harvesting, and he said that they will leave nothing to chance. The autopsy procedure will take place for the next 1 week, and of course, where 110 bodies so far have been exhumed, and some of them have their vital organs missing. But the chief government pathologist, Johansen Odur, is still camping there with security officers led by CS Kithure Kindiki. Thank you so much for being part of the People in Politics. We've been joined by Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Ruku, member of Parliament, Mbeere North Constituency. People of Mbeere North, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Thank you so much for coming, Mheshimiwa. Of course, we expected to have Deputy Governor of Siaya County, that is CPA, William Oduol, who was a no-show. He was supposed to be here on set, but he's not shown up. Mheshimiwa, you have another chance with us here on KBC Channel 1. All is not lost. Thank you for being with us. Right, taking a break. But when we come back, we're crossing over to Radio Taifa, where Rashid Mwamkondo will be having another set of discussion. What he will be talking about, stay up next for that. Good morning.